and strategy for a digital Nigeria, then the sector becomes more and more effective by the day. From the day I assumed duty on 21st August 2019, I have been the supervisor of this sector today for the last 1,317 days. Within this period, in order to ensure the implementation of our national digital economy in Nigeria, we have developed 21 national policies, and all of them are being implemented. After the development of the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy and its subsequent unveiling by the President of Nigeria, we also developed the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy Implementation Roadmap. And the development brought together stakeholders from government, from private sector, from academia, including civil societies, were represented in the process of developing it. The wisdom behind developing the implementation roadmap was to cascade and also make the implementation of in-depth much easier. Because when we conceptualize in-depth, our target was not to accommodate the strategy significantly in it, but rather to identify the key pillars, while the implementation roadmap addresses the challenges of implementation and the institutions that have a role to play in the course of that implementation. So we developed the in-depth implementation roadmap. And permit me also to use the opportunity to thank the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office in the United Kingdom, because FCDO happened to be the first two institutions to reach out to me when I assumed duty as a minister in order to establish collaboration and partnership for the success of our digital economy in Nigeria. In addition, FCDO was with the federal government from conceptualizing the idea of Nigerian National Broadband Plan 2020-2025 in August to the time that His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari unveiled and launched that Nigerian National Broadband Plan here in Abuja on the 19th of March 2020. It is because of this I want to use the opportunity to thank FCDO through the political director of the UK government here with us. We really appreciate that. Furthermore, in the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy, there are 8 pillars. And I want to make an attempt to explain what we have been doing with regards to each and every pillar briefly. These 8 pillars are: number 1, developmental regulation; number 2, digital skills; number 3, solid infrastructure; number 4, service infrastructure; number 5, digital society, digital services development and promotion; number 6, soft infrastructure; number 7, digital society and emerging technologies; number 8, indigenous content development and promotion. These 8 pillars, each and every one of them has at least one policy that has also been developed in order to simplify its implementation. And when it comes to the performance of the sector, as earlier mentioned by our friend and brother, the CEO of Nigerian Economic Summit Group, the success and the achievements of the sector is highly commendable indeed. There is no doubt about this. Prior to presenting that, I could recall that the federal government of Nigeria, through the office of the Secretary to the government of the Federation, engaged FCDO and also KPMG to assess and evaluate the performance of each and every ministry and sector of our economy. Based on the priority areas given to ministers and their permanent secretaries by the time we assume duty. Beside our swearing in, Mr. President came up with a new initiative where each and every ministry was given its priority. Some ministries, 5 priority areas, some 6, some 7, some 8, some even 9. In our own case, we were given 8 priority areas. They are called ministerial deliverables in 2019. And the final evaluation was presented on the 17th and 18th October 2020 at the banquet hall of the State House. FCD, or Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, KPMG, and OSGF conducted the evaluation. In our own case, I am glad to say that after presenting the report, in all the 8 priority areas, we can safely say that averagely, we graduated with A++ in each and every one. The 8 priority areas and our scores. Number 1 is broadband penetration in Nigeria. Under broadband penetration, we obtained 134%. Priority area number 2 is 4G penetration in Nigeria. Based on the independent assessment of FCDO, KPMG, and OSGF, we obtained 127%. Priority number 3 is digitalization of government functions and processes. Under that one, we obtained 99%. Priority number 4 is the development of national digital economy and its implementation. Under that one, based on the independent assessment, we obtained 103%. Priority number 5 is to support digital ID. In supporting digital ID, we got 86%. Priority number 6, which I believe is very dear to the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, is to enhance government revenue generation. Towards the enhancement of government revenue generation, by the independent assessors, we obtained 594%. We catapulted government revenue generation from 51 billion naira quarterly to over 408 billion naira quarterly. At least we deserve another round of applause. Number 7 is to partner with the private sector towards creating jobs and other opportunities for Nigerians. Under that pillar, we obtained 111%. Number 8 is citizens empowerment. Under citizens empowerment, we got 137%. This is the report of that independent assessment by FCD or KPMG in collaboration with the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. And this is a clear indication that the digital economy sector has been doing well when it comes to building and consolidating our economy. The issue earlier raised by our brother, the CEO of a Nigerian Economic Summit Group, with regards to our rejection for the 5% excise duty, it was necessary because the implementation of that 5% excise duty will add more burden on the sector that is doing well for our economy. And also, the political direction mentioned that it was the fastest sector of our economy. It was the fastest when it comes to growth in 2021. Even in 2020, it was, because it was the only sector that grew by 14.7%, and only sector that grew by double digits in Nigeria's economy. So by putting more burden on that sector, it will definitely jeopardize the growth and development being recorded. Prior to the proposal of that 5%, within the sector, we have 41 categories of tax, levy, and charge today. So how can you think of increasing? And 41 in one sector, arguably, it could be a global record within one sector of an economy with 41. And at the same time, some of our colleagues somewhere are thinking of adding more burden on it, while there are other sectors of our economy that are sleeping. Definitely, some are in slumber. So we have to wake them up. That is what is important. The sector of our economy is not only digital economy. There are other sectors. So if they are in slumber, then I think it is good to wake them up so that they will be able to contribute, not unnecessarily to put more burden on one sector that is performing and that is growing. So what is important is to expand the generation, not to narrow it within one sector and put more burden on it that could jeopardize the growth and development being recorded. And definitely, this is what happened in 2 African countries when they introduced this 5% excise duty in the telecommunication sector. The 2 names are withheld. So that is why we rejected. It was a very long battle, but at the end, we have won for Nigerians. When it comes to the 8 pillars, number 1 is developmental regulation. Under developmental regulation, we have so many regulatory institutions being supervised by the ministry: NITDA, NCC, NIMC, and even Nigerian Postal Services. 4 of them are all regulatory bodies. Our regulation is not a regulation that will in any way restrict development unnecessarily. And it is because of this, when I became the minister supervising the sector, the first thing I did is to change the perception of our citizens, because usually our citizens and even our colleagues in the private sector, when you mention regulation, it's just about restriction, frustrating you, bringing unnecessary challenges. In order to challenge that perception, we added an adjective to it by calling it developmental regulation. That developmental is to show to our citizens that our regulation is no more about unnecessary restriction, but to support development. And this is what we introduce in the sector. Our regulation is not to restrict unnecessarily. Our regulation is not to overburden the sector, but rather to support its development. The regulatory agencies being supervised by the ministry came up with so many regulatory instruments. And at the same time, we try to reduce the time it takes for our rule-making process to be implemented. We make our regulatory instruments very flexible, to the extent that a regulatory instrument could be amended within a week when the need arises. Because the situation today, the diversity and the universal challenges globally may not require you to spend 6 months in an attempt to amend a regulatory instrument, which is just a subsidiary legislation. So it is because of this we introduce so many regulatory instruments in the sector in order to support development. And one of the most recent achievements that we have recorded is the Nigeria Startup Act 2022. We initiated the idea at the Federal Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy in collaboration with the Office of the Chief of Staff to Mr. President. But in order to give it more acceptability and to accommodate the challenges of our startup ecosystem, we adopted an organic approach, which is more a bottom-up approach. We allowed our young innovators, our startups, and at the same time, our private sector to come up with the challenges being confronted. From the challenges submitted, we developed the bill. I was at the Federal Executive Council on the 15th December 2021, where I presented the bill. After a very robust discussion, it was approved. And I was directed to collaborate with the Office of the Minister of Justice and Attorney General to transmit to the National Assembly, and we did so. By 19 October 2022, within only 10 months, I was by the right hand side of Mr. President and the Chief of Staff, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, by the left-hand side, with the President assenting to the bill. From start to finish is only within 10 months. And I believe in Nigeria, when it comes to legislation, this is the speed of light. From start to finish, it's not an amendment, it is a new law. By 15 December 2021 at the Federal Executive Council. And after my presentation, it was approved. By 19 October 2022, it became a law. That very day, it was the last day for the bill to expire. Early in the morning, I was in the office of Mr. President. He asked me, what brought you here? I said, sir, I have an issue in your office. What was that issue? I said, our Nigeria Startup Act. He said, but I think one minister raised an observation. I said, we have addressed the observation, sir. It has already been addressed. Like how I said, I discussed with the minister, and he was in the US then. And I have discussed with him, and on his behalf, sir, I have endorsed that one as well. So Mr. President laughed. At the end, I went to him with Chief of Staff. I said, sir, we will stay here until you assent to the bill. And I engaged him after 5 to 10 minutes. He said, okay, no problem. Ask my team to bring it in. And he accepted and assented to it. So I spent 5 hours in the State House because of that bill. For the last day, it was the deadline. But I believe even if it is 24 hours, it is worth that. There is no doubt about this. So now we have the Nigeria Startup Act, and Mr. President has personally approved the formation of the Nigeria Startup Act 2022 Implementation Committee. He personally approved the membership for those to serve in the committee. My own work is only to convey to them. Pillar number 2, digital skills. When it comes to digital skills, we have so many initiatives, including digital skills for women, people with disabilities, including our children, younger ones. We introduce what we call Catch Them Young, where we teach them critical thinking, complex problem solving, and many more, so that we will be able to change their perception. To the extent that you will discover children at the age of 5 during holiday, they are being engaged in critical thinking, complex problem solving, creativity, and many more. Part of that, digital skills, we recently signed an MOU with Microsoft Corporation in the US, where they will train 5 million Nigerians on cutting-edge digital skills. We also signed an MOU with Huawei Technologies of establishing 300 Huawei academies in Nigeria in order to ensure we provide the skills required for our citizens. And in this, we prioritize our academia. We are establishing them in academia in order to ensure that in addition to their studies, they are being provided with an opportunity of building their skills, particularly hands-on training. Even during lockdown, when all of us were in our homes, we created 2 virtual academies in Nigeria, like Digital Nigeria Academy and the other one under the National Information Technology Development Agency, by introducing courses on cybersecurity, blockchain technology, courses on AI, IoT, courses on the virtual reality, and many more. Within that period of lockdown, we trained around 600,000 Nigerians through our collaboration with IBM, Microsoft, and others among the tech giants. So we have so many initiatives, And these initiatives are covering our country, all over the country. Pillar number 3 is solid infrastructure. With regards to broadband penetration in Nigeria, we have increased broadband penetration significantly in Nigeria, even though there was a miscarriage during COVID-19, because only essential services were being provided. But still, we thought out of the box by bringing even Starlink to come into Nigeria. In December 2022, I was in the US engaging with Starlink. They said they will come to Nigeria by June 2023. I said no. I said, this boy with you is a result-oriented, gentle boy. So because of this, I don't respect paper agreement, but implementation. So at least I insisted that broadband must be in Nigeria within the first quarter of 2023. I am glad to say that by January 2023, Starlink came into Nigeria. Today, in each and every part of Nigeria you live, as long as you purchase their facilities, you will get access to their services. Our landmass is approximately 920,000. So in each and every part of Nigeria today, the Starlink network is available. And this is indeed very important. And also another dimension of bringing more competition into the sector, which is important. And our citizens are the major beneficiaries. When there are challenges of competition, citizens stand to benefit and gain more. Furthermore, only in December 2022, Mr. President has also launched our own Tier 3 data center here in Abuja with another important infrastructure under Galaxy Backbone Limited. So MD, I'm here representing you to speak about the infrastructure. In addition to the Tier 4 data center that was built in Kano, we already have a data center in Lagos and another one in the southeast as our own disaster recovery center. And also we have our NICTIP2 being implemented, National Information and Communications Technology Infrastructure Backbone 2. One has been implemented, now we are in the 2. And this is another project of government where government spent over 400 million USD to provide fiber optics in each and every state of the Federation. The implementation level of NICTIP 1, I can safely say, is around 97%, covering the southern part of the country, excluding 2 states, while NICTIP 2 is around 61%, covering 19 northern states plus the 2 remaining states from the southern part of the country. At least 61% implementation level as at the end of February 2023, based on the report I received from the Managing Director of Galaxy Backbone Limited.
We had a meeting yesterday, it's at 70.2% completion now.
So 70.2% completion now. And we do hope by December, end of this year, in each and every state of the Federation, there is going to be a fiber optics broadband being presented to our citizens by the federal government of Nigeria. Also, we have service infrastructure. When it comes to service infrastructure, NIDA has been cleared in so many projects of automation being implemented by parastatals. In the last 3 years, they have granted approval of around 1,600 automation in Nigeria. Some of them are with CB and some Corporate Affairs Commission, some FIRS, some of them with Nigerian Customs Services, with immigration, and many more. All these automations are part and parcel of our service infrastructure. And in addition to e-commerce that is also being implemented, we are even donating domain name for free to our micro, small, and medium enterprises in order to support them to have global visibility by conducting their activities online. The same when it comes to digital services promotion and development. We have created so many initiatives as part of also NIDA's clearance. Number 7, the issue of soft infrastructure, which accommodates even the cybersecurity earlier spoke on, by the political director of the UK government here with us. We have so many initiatives on that one. In addition to the National Cybersecurity Policy and Strategy of 2021, we have established at least 3 cybersecurity centers, top class, within the digital economy sector. We have the Nigerian Communications Commission Computer Security Incidents Response Team. We have National Information Technology Development Agency's Computer Emergency Readiness and Response Team. We have Galaxy Backbone Limited Security Operations Center. These 3 work 24/7 based on the information presented to me by the parastatals. Try to monitor our cyberspace, issue advisory notes from time to time, try to mitigate the attacks among many functions. These are all new initiatives. The issue of Budapest Convention, cybersecurity, Budapest Convention, it is another one that it was approved by the Federal Executive Council late last year. It was jointly presented by the Minister of Justice and Attorney General and the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy. It was a joint memo between our ministry and the Ministry of Justice. We presented the memo jointly, and at the end of the meeting, it was approved, and we signed that Cybersecurity Budapest Convention by Justice Ministry and Communication and Digital Economy Ministry on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria. So under cybersecurity, we have 1,001 initiatives. Recently, or end of last year, or to be specific, on the 14th of July 2022, I launched a book, an academic book entitled Cybersecurity Initiatives for Securing a Country in Lagos at the Sheraton Hotel, Maryland. After, it's just development of a model on how to protect our cyberspace. After the launching of the book, so far, 4 African countries have adopted the model in order to ensure the safety of their cyberspace. Digital society and emerging technologies. This is just an effort to ensure total inclusion. Part of it, we are trying to cascade digital economy to reach our states. Now, we have 3 states in Nigeria that have established a state ministry of digital economy. Odo State, Imo State, and Sokoto State. All of them implemented state ministry. And also, we supported around 11 states so far towards the development of their state digital economy, trying to ensure they domesticate our national policy at state level, including the Nigeria Startup Act. We are in discussion now with around 6 states. They are trying to domesticate the Nigeria Startup Act for implementation. And final one, indigenous content development and promotion. We are very much aware of our Executive Order 003 that was signed on the 1st of May 2017 by the then acting President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, and the Presidential Order of 12 February 2018 that was signed by our Principal President, Muhammadu Buhari. Both of them are prioritizing consuming our local content. We try to become producers rather than just consumers. They are agitating for knowledge transfer. And towards the implementation, we have so many initiatives. We even established a subsidiary under NCC titled as Office for the Promotion of Indigenous Content in the Telecommunication Center, in the telecommunication sector, named NODIT Office. And we have also developed a national policy on the promotion of indigenous content in the telecommunication sector. And we also have on the office another subsidiary under NIDA promoting our indigenous content. And the success so far, we are not yet there, but the progress being made is really, really encouraging. When it comes to hardware, today we have manufacturing plants in Nigeria. By 2019, even SIM card was imported into Nigeria. But today, we have the capacity to produce SIM card not only for Nigeria, but for the whole 54 African countries. Nigeria has the capacity to do that. When it comes to software, we are also doing well. Recently, I led a team of some young Nigerians to participate in a challenge in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in Riyadh. There are 8 categories there, with over 10,000 participants globally. from around 94 countries. From these 8 global winners, 2 are Nigerians. 2 are Nigerians. From 6 globally, 2 are from Nigeria, from the team I led on behalf of President Muhammadu Buhari. Each one of them got a prize of 150,000 USD, which to me, to a young innovator, is a huge amount of money. 150,000 USD. Both of them 300,000 USD. So in the area of indigenous content, at least Nigeria, we're making progress. We need to create more awareness, at least to be that committed to consuming our indigenous technology. There is need for commitment from our citizens. But at the Federal Executive Council, any memo being presented, we always challenge and ensure that the interest of our indigenous companies is protected. And we always do that. And we do hope that in the next 1 or 2 years, we will be able to increase the level of our local content or indigenous content. So once again, thank you very much for listening. And I believe we are also here to sign the Digital Economy Compact. Prior to that, we inaugurated the Digital Economy Industry Working Group with our friends in the Nigerian Economic Summit Group somewhere around 25th October 2022. And today we are here to ensure that we sign the compact to ensure the success of our digital economy community of our practice. Thank you very much for being here. May the Almighty bless the digital economy sector, and may the Almighty bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.